Hello everyone, you're very welcome back to the Justice for Aaron Brady campaign. As you know, recently we've had a lot to cover in relation to an ongoing trial in Dublin, tendency to persuade Daniel Cahill not to give evidence, and we're also looking at the book created by Pat Marry and Robin Schiller. We have renamed the book, and it's How to Make Money from the Murder of Your Friend and Colleague. It is, I haven't read the book as yet. We have looked at some of the articles in the newspaper, which we're going to look at again today as the book is being promoted. It is defamatory to the memory of Detective Garda Adrian Donohoe. It is insulting. It is, as we clearly had shown in the podcast, The Making of a Detective, that Marry created with Stephen Breen. It is full of lies, inaccuracies, and omissions that are, quite frankly, completely insulting to anyone's memory. And it's just a pathetic attempt at, I don't know whether it's to make a few pounds or to try and justify himself in some way for making such a mess of the investigation into the murder of his friend and colleague. So what we're going to look at is a number of very serious issues. Just with this, we've picked out the Sunday Independent because I think it was the first to run a major spread on it. And we have looked at Mary Hanlon, the credit union worker, and how Pat Marry says there you can see she initially believed it was a woman driving the car. We've shown quite categorically Pat Marry is a liar, and Robin Schiller is perpetuating these lies in this book. Mary Hanlon never, ever changed her testimony. Up until last February, 10 years after the event, she was of the opinion it was a female. She said it 54 times in her statement. She, her, silly bitch. We've gone over that, so we've covered that. So that's lies and omissions, complete misrepresentation of actual factual evidence. So now we're going to look at some of the interactions with, you can see here, I just highlighted it, with Joe Ryan, Detective Joe Ryan, and the control room. So we're just going to bring it up here. There we go. So this is Detective Ryan radioing in immediately after the murder and robbery. And just for completeness, we'll just read through what Marry and Schiller have put in the book. Bravo to Papa Bravo 1, control 162 Bravo, go ahead. Garda Ryan, ambulance, over. Control, Roger 16, you needed assistance. Roger, urgent assistance, over, urgent assistance. Control, what's your location? Garda Ryan says, can we get somebody? Control, what's your location? Lordship Credit Union, over. The dispatcher then requested members of the Armed Regional Support Unit to the scene. Any detail, Joe? I think he's been fatally shot, over. Dark coloured car is all I got. Shotgun in my face. After the alert was placed over the Garda radio, a separate call was made to by a person at the scene, informing emergency services what had just occurred, with the detective being handed the phone. Hello, who's this? This is the Drogheda Garda station. Joe Ryan, Dundalk, just had a member shot. Are you a member, Joe? Yes, I'm on an escort. What's the story, Joe? We had a robbery there on escort. One man shot, and the dispatch asked, dead. The other Ryan said, yeah. On way out, what did you see there? Shotgun in my face. All I saw was two men. Shotgun in your face. Shotgun and handgun as well. So that's what's put in the book. But this is the pathetic attempt by Marry and Schiller to hide vital evidence. Now, I'm not sure if Robin Schiller would have been, has seen the actual transcript from the dispatch and all the interactions and the information given. So Pat Murray may very well be pulling the wool over Schiller's eyes and just leaving out the vital information. And what is missing, as you can see coming up here on the screen, 27 kilo. Just on the phone there to Joe, yeah, dark grey Volkswagen Passat. A dark grey Volkswagen Passat. There is no point in all units going to Belogan either. Lordship, we will put in the diversion, but we will have to try and look out for this car, lads. And I don't know how anyone can take this book seriously on how to make money from the mother of your friend and colleague when vital information has been left out. Now, that's only 2 paragraphs we've taken from the Irish Independent. And one is Mary Hanlon, the credit union worker, where her statement has been altered and twisted. Now, also removed from Mary Hanlon's statement is she says quite clearly it was a dark grey car. As you can see from the message here in front of me, the message that was relayed to Drogheda was it was a dark grey Volkswagen Passat. Now, the whole story around the conviction of Aaron, the whole story around the conviction of James Flynn collapses completely here with this statement. There is no ambiguity, there is no explanation to how Pat Murray, Garda Síochána and the DPP have completely eradicated a witness testimony. There can be absolutely no reasoning for it, other than they are creating a false narrative. They are telling lies. They are telling you, the Irish public, lies, and Pat Murray and Robin Schiller are going around peddling a disgusting and despicable piece of literature. It is littered with lies, it is littered with inaccuracies, and it is littered with omissions. And someone is going to have to ask questions of some of the mainstream journalists. But what we have said all along rings true here, because here we have a mainstream journalist in bed with a member of Garda Síochána, albeit he retired. Now, good journalism should be there to hold people like Pat Murray, like our politicians, like all public servants, to hold them to account. And here we have Robin Schiller, a mainstream journalist, allowing his name to be put to lies, inaccuracies and omissions. It cannot be any simpler. It is there in black and white. And we have Murray, as I say, on a jolly around the country doing podcasts and TV interviews, and not one journalist to ask the question, well, we see, well, 2 witnesses said the car was grey. We see what Joe Ryan said, the man who shot Detective Garda Adrian Donohoe was over 6'1" or 6'2". There's an endless supply of questions that should be put to these people. And to allow it to go unchallenged is despicable and disgusting on behalf of our mainstream media. There must be some issue with what we are saying in respect to the authorities, because we've called it despicable, disgusting. It is gutter journalism at its very best. It's worse than tacky, and we're publicising that continuously, and yet no one is questioning us, what we are saying. The mainstream media are not standing up for Murray and Schiller. Murray and Schiller are not standing up for those who we've called scumbags who told lies to save their own lives in America, the likes of Cahill, Morton and Maguire, and that it was a total shambles, the whole investigation. So again, we see here where they've put part of the interaction with the control room, and yet here we have it. 27 kilo, just on the phone there to Joe. A dark grey Volkswagen Passat. A dark grey Volkswagen Passat. There is no point in all units going to Belogan either. Lordship, we will put in the diversion, but we will have to try and look for this car, lads. They are looking for a dark grey Passat. And the story peddled by the authorities and Pat Murray in court and through Aaron's trial and indeed James Flynn's trial was a blue Passat, which is lies. It's quite simple. There is the evidence in front of everyone in black and white from the mouth of the people who actually seen eyewitnesses who described the vehicle. And we know there's scores more, and there will be when we get through the book. There's a couple more issues with this article here, and we will continue to strip it down and show it for what it is. Gutter, despicable, deranged journalism. And I will say once again, it is totally defamatory to the memory of a member of Garda Síochána who lost his life during the course of his duty. Absolutely disgusting. So we'll see you in the next video. We'll continue to highlight Mary's lies and Schiller's bullshit, and we'll do that in the next video.